friend Michael McDowell, who finished second up at Road America. Welcome to the show again, Michael.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. A great weekend. Finished second up at Road America. You've had some great success every time you've climbed into one of Joe Gibbs' cars, the third at Iowa, a top 10 at Michigan, now a second at Road America. This should be a permanent gig for you, I would think.
You know, I definitely enjoy getting behind the wheel of that 18 Peach Ranch car. It's just fun to be in competitive equipment and have a shot at winning races. And, you know, we've been getting close. We got a third and a second, like you mentioned. So, you know, we're hoping to get that win soon.
Well, that's one of the things when we talk about this race up at Road America. You finished behind Nelson Piquet Jr. Jacques Villeneuve was in the hunt for a long time. Max Pappas, all these great road racers, and yet, you know what? You're a pretty darn good road racer yourself. That you know, kind of showed up at the 24 Hours as well. You love these road courses, don't you?
Yeah, I do. You know, it's something I'm comfortable with and familiar with, and you know, I enjoy it. You know, a lot of it has to just do with just being, you know, able to be in great equipment, and you know, just those Toyotas have been so fast at Joe Gibbs Racing here the last, you know, well, they're always fast, but the last few months in particular, they've been really hitting it on everything, and so, you know, it was fun. It was a good race. We got off sequence with our strategy a little bit, and the cautions just didn't fall perfect for us, but you know, by the end of the race, we were able to get in position, but by that time, I kind of used up my tires and everything getting back to the front of the field. So, you know, Nelson had a quick car. We just kind of ran out of tires there at the end.
You know, you always talk about the strategies that you try to put together on a road course, and I'm sure you guys had a strategy going into this thing. How close were you to running the actual strategy that you had plotted out?
Well, that's where we got off sequence there. Started out good. We kind of stuck to our plan and pitted early and opened up our window that way, but then the cautions just fell at, you know, inconvenient time for us. So really what happened is as everything cycled around and we should have been in the lead, another caution came out shortly after that put everybody in their window, so you had to go with it. And so once we went with that, then we lost all the track position we had. So, you know, if it had gone 3 or 4 more green flag laps, everything would have worked out perfectly. So, you know, but that's how it is. I mean, it's the same for everybody. I mean, you can't predict the race. You just look at the history and you make good decisions, and you just try to put yourself in position. And we did that. I mean, with 10 laps to go, I still restarted second. Just unfortunate that we had to use up our tires getting there.
We're talking with Michael McDowell, and as I ran down the list there, I forgot Ron Fellow. Sorry about that, Ron. But, you know, that's a pretty darn group when you look at the top 6 guys within that. Hornish is in there, too, so a bunch of great road racers as well. I know you got a couple more races going on with Gibbs for the rest of the year. Where else are you going to be in the car for Joe Gibbs Racing?
Yeah, I'll be in the Pizza Ranch car again in Iowa, and then I'll finish the season off at Montreal. So looking forward to both those races. Had a great run at Iowa. You know, I had a pit road speeding penalty that I had to serve late in the race, so I think we had a good shot at winning a race there too. And you know, every time you get in these Gibbs cars, you got a good shot at winning a race. So we keep putting ourselves in position. We keep racing in the top 5, and hopefully, you know, before the end of the season, we'll get a win.
Well, seeing as you brought it up, I'll ask you about speeding on pit road. There was an awful lot of those.
Steve.
A lot of those at Pocono, and let me get your perspective on that. Did NASCAR kind of throw a Mickey into the deal there, you know, and change things around a little bit, or how do you see all the speeding penalties that were at Pocono?
Well, really, what it is all the teams and manufacturers, they have the loop data lines and they know where they're at, but with the repave, they got moved. And so most of the teams didn't physically go down there and inspect the lines. I think it's probably the majority of what happened. And, you know, I think that it's just a game that everybody tries to maximize, and when you push the limit like that, sometimes you just step over it. And I think more than anything it was just the fact that it was repaved and they moved the lines a little bit.
Well, it seems, you know, a lot of the discussion becomes if they're speeding on pit lane, then it should be speeding. You know, you shouldn't be able to go slow here and make up for it there. Is there some way that NASCAR can change that around a little bit that I don't know if I want to say the word would be more fair, or, you know, if they want to control a certain speed on pit road, is there a different way that they should do it, I guess is a better way to ask the question.
Yeah, there's always better ways of doing stuff. But you also open up a bag of worms for other things by doing that. You know, I think Grand Am does a good job. You have a pit road speed limiter. You hit the button, you're at pit road speed. Grand Am can monitor that. And then they have officials that have, you know, just radar guns standing, you know, at different spots throughout pit lane. Problem is with NASCAR, you got 43 guys coming on pit lane at once, so a radar gun isn't going to cut it. But there's enough technology that that you should be able to do it. But, you know, it's just one of those things that everybody kind of pushes it, and they'll find new ways to try to cut corners, you know.
Well, Michael, you bring up Grand Am. What's your Grand Am schedule look like the rest of the season?
You know, I don't have anything right now. I was working on Indy. I wanted to try to do Indy there, but I'm not sure it's going to come together. You know, hopeful to run again with Michael Shank Racing next year at the 24 hours, and you know, have a shot at trying to get a Rolex 24-hour win. You know, we've been close and finished third this year, and you know, it'd be great to be able to get a win.
Well, you bring up 24-hour races. Brian Vickers ran at the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year. Do you have any aspirations to go there or go back there? Have you thought about it?
I would love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to. I mean, it's something I definitely plan on doing. You know, it's just as soon as I got into NASCAR, just there's no way of doing it without having, you know, a partial schedule. So it's just going to be one of those things that'll be a little bit later in my career.
Yeah.
That should be just one of those things that you can write into your contract, that you get to take that whole month off, you know, and you make it work out. Take a month off here, then take a month off, and you go race at the 500, Indy 500. I want to ask you one more thing about the nationwide race, and it really doesn't affect you, but in some way it will, because you said you're going to go run at Montreal again. Charlie and I talked a little bit about the whole deal between Jacques Villeneuve and Danica Patrick, and whether or not there's going to be retribution and where it might happen if those two get back in a car again. It could be Montreal. Is stuff like that, you know, and it's not just those two, but, you know, vendettas between drivers. When you go someplace, does it ever, you know, go into the back of your mind where you kind of got to look out for this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, it's just it's a part of racing, you know. I think that, you know, Jacques got a bad reputation, obviously, and it's not something that isn't undeserving either. So it's just one of those things that, you know, it's just part of, you know, coming in and only doing 2 races a year, and, you know, not worrying about what everybody else is doing points-wise and everything else. And so, I mean, I think Jacques doesn't just have one coming. He has 4 or 5 coming.
Right.
And so if it's not Danica, it's going to be somebody else.
Send those emails to Michael McDowell at michaelmcdowell.com, not to us.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. And we'll take them. We'll forward them.
Yeah, we'll forward them to you, no problem. Michael, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. You getting some family time as you came back from California?
Yeah, we're actually on the way to Louisville now. We're hanging out in Kentucky for a couple days and headed over to Kentucky Speedway.
All right.
Well, hey, have fun. Make sure you leave early to get into the Speedway.
Yeah, try to avoid that traffic.
Yeah. All right, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. Michael McDowell.
All right, thanks.
Yep. All right, good deal.